Hello, this is the screencast about infectious and communicable diseases. This is the narrated version of the PowerPoint for this section. So here is someone with obviously not feeling well, and here are some people receiving vaccinations, which from a public health standpoint are an extremely effective means, and also from a personal health standpoint. And I have some references later on in this program for you. All right, how do we define them? Infectious disease is caused by a microorganism that can transfer to new individuals. Communicable or contagious disease is readily transmitted from one individual to another. And now we're finding in the modern world sometimes from one species to another, like what we call the swine flu and possibly Ebola as well. So I'll have a little more to say about that later on. I like this easy to understand definition from a website called answers.com, and I want to give credit to a person who just called himself on the website Jared. I think these are easy to understand. The differences between infectious and other types of diseases. As you can see, they're caused by microscopic germs such as bacteria or viruses that get into the body and cause problems. Some, but not all, infectious diseases spread directly from one person to another. Infectious diseases that spread from one person to another are said to be contagious. Some infections spread to people from an animal or insect but are not contagious from another human. Lyme disease is an example. You can't catch it from someone you're hanging out with or pass it on the street. It comes from the bite of an infected tick, not person to person. This is still from Jared. Contagious disease spread from person to person in several ways. Direct physical contact, like touching or kissing someone who has the infection. A communicable disease is carried by microorganisms and transmitted through people, animals, surfaces, foods, or air. Communicable diseases rely on fluid exchange, contaminated substances, or close contact from an infected carrier to a healthy individual. The disease might need blood exchange, float along a sneeze, or get transmitted through childbirth. We do understand their origins, and some examples are herpes, malaria, mumps, HIV/AIDS, influenza, chickenpox, and so on. Cancer is not a communicable disease, and we'll have another section later on in the class about cancer. All right, here is a link to an example of a contagious infectious disease. I'm using some information from the Khan Academy. I think it's generally easy to understand and very helpful. So again, later on, please highlight this link and then choose right-click and choose Open Hyperlink and see what this says about naming how different types of strains of influenzas are named. E. coli or Escherichia coli is a bacteria in the intestinal tract and can cause some contagious infectious disease. Jared just told us a little bit about Lyme disease. It's more prevalent than we thought. Here's an NBC News clip about Lyme disease that you should check out a little bit later. Again, in many of these YouTubes and other videos, there are ads, as you are probably well aware from using the net. I have no control over them. Please skip them as soon as you can. I have no interest in any of the products being advertised, etc. Okay, let's move on. Pandemics are epidemics that can spread throughout the world, such as malaria and a severe acute respiratory syndrome, or SARS, which is a viral infection. Infectious diseases can be used as potential weapons. We had an anthrax scare a while ago, botulism, pneumonic plague, but I'm not going to discuss this at this point. All right, smallpox, rabbit or deer fly fever, hemorrhagic fevers. Again, I'm not going to talk about diseases as potential weapons. Viral infections. The common cold is a viral infection. Influenza, Ebola, and again, Ebola has been in the news lately. It's a recent and recurring issue. Here is some more information about that. Again, highlight the link, right-click, and choose Open Hyperlink. There are some organisms that are resistant to many, many drugs, and these, of course, cause problems. Later on in the course, I'll have something to say about the overuse of antibiotics. When we overuse antibiotics, as you probably are well aware, we are developing some resistant strains. So antibiotics should be used judiciously, only when necessary, only when prescribed by a practitioner, and only for as long as necessary. However, if you begin on a course of antibiotics, as you probably well know, you need to finish the course. Don't stop partway through. Immunosuppressant diseases like chronic fatigue syndrome and HIV/AIDS. And again, here is a website with some information about HIV/AIDS. So please do read that and look at the etiology of AIDS and the possible treatments, modalities that are going on now. We have had much more success with controlling AIDS, not curing it, but people with HIV are living longer and productive lives. There are infectious and communicable diseases of childhood, many for which a person can receive vaccinations. Here are some examples: rubella, mumps, chickenpox, and erythema infectiosum, which is not as common, but it is a parvovirus, and it's characterized by a facial rash, but it is different from measles. All right, pertussis or whooping cough, this is covered by a vaccination, and it's important, I believe it very important to get vaccinations. Here's a link from the National Institutes of Health about vaccinations and how to understand their dosages, their usage. So please click here after this is over, after this PowerPoint is concluded, and take a look at that. And here are two reports from the Khan Academy, which I think are quite good. They talk about dispelling the myth. There have been myths going on that vaccinations cause autism. These two, simple to understand, I think, very well done videos by the Khan Academy, or lectures, I should say, in video format by the Khan Academy, dispel these myths. And that is the end of this. Again, please do contact me via instant Moodle messaging if you have any questions or comments about this PowerPoint, this discussion, or anything else that you have. All right, thank you for your attention, and I will see you again.